What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with a brand new episode of The Paul James Show. It is a weirdly timed Thursday night episode here where, of course, the Cats aren't playing this weekend and we don't have a huge amount to discuss as a result. But tonight in our show, we'll debrief on, of course, and probably finally touch on the Cats and the Freo game. You've had the opportunity to jump into Postgame Live and share your thoughts there. I've put up my reaction video here. We'll break it down as a bit of a community, discuss what occurred last weekend in a little bit more detail and with some final thoughts there. We'll get into some news stories, which include a very important topic that Ben has thrown in there. There's new bobbleheads that people can go buy. We'll talk about the Cats and how they've offered to help Collingwood in the event that Scott Pendlebury plays his milestone-breaking game against the Cats in round 9. We'll talk about the AFL and its expansion of the VFL broadcast deal ahead of the Cats kicking off their VFL season tomorrow night. We'll talk about the prospect of Tom Stewart as a Tassie Devil. That has come up in the last day or so. And then we're going to talk about a few players who are on the fringe, on the bubble, and will they or will they not remain on the list at the end of the year. It's very early to have this conversation, but Ben kicked it off, I think, in the Discord earlier today, and we're continuing it tonight. We'll have game of the show and a whole lot more to discuss. Like I said, there's no match to preview this week, so we'll be a little bit lighter on than usual. I don't expect us to go the hour tonight, but we'll just see how it shakes out. With your comments, your concerns, your super chats as the show plays out, we'll inevitably find plenty to discuss. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into the rest of the show and the football-related news, I'm again going to go back to the well here and plug something that is very important to me. In fact, it is the most important thing to me. It's not Hoops Crew-related content. There's lots of great stuff there to go check out. But please, if you haven't already, I've been talking about it over the course of the last couple of weeks. My wife's Endometriosis Australia campaign is currently on. She's almost raised half of what she was looking to achieve this March, and shout out to a few people within the community. In fact, I scrolled down here before and I saw that Shadu, you're the top donator, so thank you. But I see Shadu, I see Thomas, I think Horatio's donated, I think Jackie, you've donated as well. So thank you to those who've supported what my wife's trying to achieve. She's also reframed the goal. As we see here, she hit a 60-kilometre goal that she was planning on doing. She's done that with ease. So we're upping the ante there. She's going to push that up to 100 kilometres for the month now. Again, for anyone who's not familiar with endometriosis, going out and exercising can be a real challenge when your body's just saying no in every single possible respect. Your body's fighting against you most days to different levels of, to different capacities. And so the idea of getting out and going for a walk, big or small, can be pretty excruciating in terms of the pain that it creates. So please, if you've got the ability to donate, you can see the preset ones there, $30, $50, $100, $200, $500, whatever it happens to be. Or if you've got some custom amount, if all you can manage is $5, then please throw a few dollars there at her campaign. We've got, what do we got? It's the 19th. So we've got about just short of 2 weeks left to raise the remaining $550 that she's trying to achieve through this campaign for a wonderful cause, for research and to support all women who are suffering from this. For a bit of data there, it is 1 in 7 women who have endometriosis of varying different degrees. There's finally a lot more research and time being given to it. If someone, to Jackie's point, if someone wants to, click $500, please, click on that $500 and donate that and basically just break the back of this straight away. But of course, if that's not something you can manage, I don't blame you. That's a lot of money. But anything will do the job, and it's going to a wonderful cause. Not a cent goes to us. So please consider that one. And again, thank you to the likes of yourselves, Jackie, Shadu, who've already donated. Really, really appreciate it. And anything you can do to support the cause would be huge. There's very likely to be an important woman in your life who is suffering from this. And as Jackie's highlighted there in the comments, it's probably worse than 1 in 7. It's very under-detected. I think so there's so much more awareness now coming to it, and I think so much more of an understanding and research going into it, that I think we're going to find very soon that 1 in 7 becomes 1 in 6, which becomes 1 in 5. And it's an awful, awful thing. And like I said, it's very likely that there's someone important in your life that unfortunately has this, whether they're aware of it yet or not. So the more you can do to support the cause, the better. So thank you in advance for that support. For those who have donated, for those who will donate in the future, we really appreciate it. But we'll move on to footy news. We will inevitably come back to this, and please, if you're watching and you throw a few dollars in there, please make sure to shout it out in the comments, because I'll bring it up here and I want to make sure that's celebrated and acknowledged and thanked properly. So if you have the means to do so, you can see there's lots of ways to do it: PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, all the credit cards. Please do. But let's get into the news for the night. And as I said, there's only one story this week that matters to Ben. It's the fact that you can get some new Geelong Cats bobbleheads from the Cats shop. So we can see that there's a few here that are available. In fact, a 2.0 for Captain Paddy Dangerfield. Gary's having some fun in the chat. Ollie Dempsey, we've got here Bailey Smith, Captain, like I said, Captain Dangerfield bobblehead. Max Holmes, Brad Close. The very controversial Brad Close. Stay tuned for a video in the coming days there. Jeremy Cameron and Tom Stewart. We'll talk more about Tom Stewart shortly. So if you're a Cats fan, you want to pick up a new bobblehead. My son got a Sam DeConing one, courtesy of the club last year. When we went to one of the games at GMHBA. Thank you, Shadu, for dropping the link. I do appreciate that as well. You're a machine, Shadu. Did you just save it from last week? Did you just save the link from last week so that when I inevitably forgot that you were across it? But yeah. Well, actually, no, I don't need to bring it up. Shadu's already done it. So thank you again, Shadu. And yeah, anyone who's got the ability to donate, please consider doing so. But yeah, if you also want to find another excuse to spend some money, you can pick up a Cats. Oh, caged. Yeah, okay. Please don't hesitate to go and pick up a new Geelong Cats bobblehead. There's plenty there for you. But that's not a real story. Ben's going to buy them all. I have no doubt about it. I saw him in the chat before. Go buy yourself a bobblehead if you want to. But let's move on to a real story here, which is a really fascinating one. And it is, Jackie says the bobbleheads are scary. Look, some of them are. Look at those eyebrows on Brad Close. Look at the I don't know, what do we call it? What do we call that bit? The monobrow area for Jeremy Cameron. Look at how furrowed though that is. He's wrinkled up, something shocking. Max Holmes looks like he's 4 years old. Tom Stewart looks like he's seen a few things. Ollie Dempsey, something awkward. Bailey Smith, yeah, those two are a bit over the top. Danger, look, he's got that fierce sort of look, but it's not. Yeah, anyway. Mark says in the chat that I have a little figurine toy of Gary Ablett Sr. unopened in my drawer, contains a booklet all about him enclosed. That is awesome. You got to get yourself one that you can actually, go rifling around through eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something like that. Get one that has been opened that you can muck around with. That'd be really cool. Shadu rightly points out, I'm a woman, so you can be the best looking bloke in the chat to Gary. Yeah, good one, Gary. All right, but let's move on to our next story here. Good guy Geelong gets in, and it says would have, and I'm going that's past tense, because of course Scott Pendlebury got off at the tribunal. Rightly, I think he got scrubbed in there, but when it comes to this, I think this is still a very live possibility. Scott Pendlebury at his age and stage, his calf issues that he's had, I think the club will still look to potentially manage him somewhere along the way. And so there could be an additional buy, an additional break for Scott Pendlebury sometime in the coming weeks, which would lead, if he just misses the one game, would lead him to play his milestone-breaking game against the Cats in round 9. That would be his 433rd. So here's the story. In the past tense, because right now the assumption is he's just going to continue on. The Cats would have helped the Pies facilitate the Pendlebury record, courtesy of SEN. Geelong and Collingwood discussed swapping home games in the event that Scott Pendlebury's record-breaking game fell on a Cats away match. But while that option was quickly deemed too difficult due to ticketing and other complexities, the Cats were committed to helping the Pies should Pendlebury moment arrive in round 9 at the MCG before the Pies great was cleared to play at the tribunal. Geelong CEO Steve Hocking and Pies counterpart Craig Kelly have had discussions how the occasion would be met, with Geelong having control of the LEDs, big screen and other activation measures as the home club. As things stand, Pendlebury is set to become the all-time VFL AFL games record holder when he goes past Brent Harvey and plays his 433rd game against Hawthorn in round 8. But if he couldn't overturn the one-match suspension at the tribunal, he and the Magpies faced the prospect of celebrating the milestone the following week at a Cats home game at the MCG. Further complicating the planning was the fact that the Pies would have a 5-day break between Anzac Day round 7 and Hawthorn in round 8, raising concerns that Pendlebury could back up quickly enough to feature in both, provided he was rubbed out. But Geelong was open to helping Collingwood and will work with its rival to support their requirements for the record-breaking game if it was needed. The two clubs meet again in round 21 in a Collingwood home game, but the Geelong would not have expected anything back the other way for the return bout. Who knows? There might be a milestone that happens to land on round 21, and there might be a bit of a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours to the whole scenario. But look, this is good guy Geelong here, right? Jackie says good. I couldn't stand Brent Harvey. Glad to see him lose this honour. I'm also seeing Shadu commenting on the footy in the background. I should probably be opening up Someone give me the scores. I haven't seen the scores yet. But, hang on. What do we say? Another 50-point quarter, but Paul not convinced the game has changed. I need to... Hang on. What's going on here? Are the Swans smoking them? Oh. Hang on. 4 goals, 2 to 5 straight. We're 19 and a half minutes in. Good stuff. Which way did you all tip, chat? I haven't even looked to see what Ben has done with his tips, but I have tipped the Swans. I think it was by 15 points. If I check footy tips, I'll bring up footy tips and have a check. But yeah, 5 straight. Hang on, I'll scroll it across and we'll keep it handy for when we need it. 5 straight to the Swans, 4-2-26 the Hawks. But yeah, going back to our Pendlebury story here, this is good guy Geelong, right? And I think if you're Geelong, outside of it being just a good, honourable, respectable thing to do, I think the more that the Geelong Footy Club can do to support Collingwood through this works out well for the Cats anyway. Sure, there'll be a lot of noise, and you know, if Collingwood kind of gets hot, it makes it harder for Geelong to win on the night. But at the same time, being a Geelong home game, if we can get, if this ground is, maxed out 100,000 people, that's a stack of money going into the club's pocket because it's a home game. So I'm not overly concerned by this. What I will say, Jackie, you beat me to the punch. As Jackie has said in the chat, off the back of my Nick Dacos video from the other day, this is we get Nick Dacos now, right? That's it, right? Shadu says the record shouldn't matter. It makes a mockery of the tribunal. I've got no problem with him, with him being rubbed out. I don't think there was anywhere near enough time for him to be able to react or really do anything else. He didn't lean in. You can kind of see him falling back, but still tucking the shoulder in. I'm perfectly fine with what the tribunal landed on. I wish that they were actually more consistent like this going forward. It's not about necessarily the injury or what level of Gary. I am not. It's not about what level of injury is sustained. It's about the act, as far as I'm concerned. And I think most people have argued this for a while, and they've gotten frustrated with the AFL because they've been too focused on the outcome. The Scott Pendlebury Act, I don't think was designed to harm anyone in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of my stance on that one. So then, as far as I'm concerned, good on him. And Scott Pendlebury is one of the good guys in footy. He's not really done anything to anyone. Obviously, in terms of footballing acts, he's not done anything to anyone. He's always conducted himself ultra professionally. So I wish him nothing but the best. Not in that game. I hope he has a phenomenal celebration without a win. But yeah, no, I've got no major concerns with this in the slightest. And when it comes to Geelong, it's a pretty... Ignoring the ethical thing, which is, it's a good, honourable act to offer this, and if it ends up being a Geelong and Collingwood game where he hits the milestone, I think it'll be great for them to follow through. It's a really respectful thing. Shadu, I wholeheartedly agree that the basketball thing shouldn't have anything to do with it. I hate when they bring in that and they try and go with the good guy clause, and you're right, the basketball career, it's completely irrelevant because the nature of the game is totally different. The level of physical contact you're allowed to engage in is totally different. So no, I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with you around the basketball part of it. I just mean in terms of what occurred as a footballing act, And I think the decision-making that did or didn't go through Scott Pendlebury's head in that moment, I've got no problem with what he went through. But yeah, as far as like the club's concerned, obviously honourable act, great thing that they can do. But through a dollars and cents lens, it's also going to be great for the Cats if we max that, if that place gets maxed out. Even if it's 70-30 Collingwood to Geelong supporters, that's huge. That's a huge sum of money that comes to the club. So, and I know you're not like challenging me or being difficult in any way, Shadu. No, I think it's a good. I think it's a really good part of the conversation. I think it's an important thing to discuss because it is something that was brought up in the tribunal, and rightly or wrongly, I think it was, it's an important part of it, and so I think it's worth discussing. Moving on to our next story here, which is relevant to the Cats tomorrow. The AFL has announced an expanded VFL broadcast deal. The AFL has announced a new VFL broadcast agreement, which will see Smithy's VFL matches broadcast by KO Sports, ABC, the 7 Network, and SEN throughout 2026. So really the best coverage we've probably ever gotten now, after things were looking pretty bleak a while ago. The AFL has announced a new VFL broadcast agreement, which will see Smithy's VFL matches broadcast by KO Sports, ABC, the 7 Network, and SEN throughout the 2026 season. Benny's pointing out the 69 points scored in the game so far. Nice. Under the expanded broadcast deal, at least 53 Smithy's VFL matches will be broadcast across the 4 networks, with more matches to be confirmed once scheduling for round 14 to 21 is confirmed. KO Sports will broadcast 16 matches across the opening 13 rounds of the Smithy's VFL home and away season, with at least one match of each round of the regular season to be broadcast through the first portion of the season. A number of KO Sports VFL broadcast games will be curtain raisers to AFL matches, allowing supporters to both watch their VFL and AFL teams back-to-back on the platform. In addition, KO Sports will broadcast Smithy's VFL finals coverage. The ABC will broadcast one match each round. Let's breeze through this a little bit now. The ABC broadcast match will generally commence at 12:05 each Saturday. Obviously, generally, there will be exceptions. All VFL and VFLW matches will continue to be streamed live and free on AFL platforms via afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. There's certainly some opportunities for some VFL watch-alongs here. I think that could be really cool. But you're right, Shadu. It's a lot. There's a lot of layers to this. It's a very complicated setup, even more so than what we already endure with the AFL, like the full top-level AFL coverage, because we've got games on KO, we've got games on Channel 7, we've got... It's not always consistent as to who's got what slot. We've got our Super Saturdays, we've got all sorts of... we've got free-to-air, like days where there's just no free-to-air football. Like, it's... The whole thing is excessively confusing and increasingly inaccessible. Like, I'm sure a lot of us here have KO subscriptions. I do. I know that lots of others do as well. But it's still not... It's not a convenient way to access football. And it's really creating a scenario of the haves and the have-nots when it comes to watching VFL or AFL as well. So I'm really not happy with where we're at when it comes to coverage of the VFL right now, and hopefully it improves. All right, let's move on to our... Oh, and sorry, I guess the little summary there. The ABC broadcast schedule for rounds 1 through 13. Round 3, we'll be able to watch the Werribee Tigers and the Geelong Cats from Avalon Airport Saturday 12:05. Round 7, Geelong and Collingwood, Victoria Park 12:05. And round 10, Geelong and Carlton from Icon Park at 12:05. Python Dart says, "Why have KO when you have to pay when you can pay $150 a year for a Fire Stick?" That's like the Amazon Fire Stick, right? But what does that unlock for you? What am I missing? What is the Amazon Fire Stick or Fire Stick Pro or whatever? What does that give you though? Because you've still got to, like, if you want... Yeah, sorry. Python, please expand on that one. I'm not 100% clear on what you mean in that particular instance. And while you're responding, let's take a look at the scores. Swans by 3 points. 6 straight now. Who's kicking the goals? Charlie with 2 straight. Corey Wagner, Malcolm Roses, Tom Papley, Joel Amati. And Gunston, Mackenzie, Moore, and Mabior Chol with a couple goals. Through the Fire Stick, he says all pay-per-view, UK TV, US TV, free YouTube Premium. And Jackie says, since Ben has commented about it being 69 total, the scoring has stopped. Good. And Shadoo's talking about sailing the high seas like the Reddit thread. So a little bit of dodgy piracy going on. I can applaud this. Sydney have missed one. Scores are now 70 cumulative so far. All right, let's continue on here with what is our final news story for the night. We are 20 minutes into the show and we're on to our final news story. And it comes courtesy of the agenda setters. And I caught this clip earlier today. Ben shared it. Let's jump across and have a bit of a look here. We'll have a look. That's fine. It'll work. We'll jump across the agenda setters. We'll full screen this bad boy. You can see Hutchie in all his glory. But let's listen to what they have to say about Tom Stewart and the prospect. And it's not really Hutchie that brings this news to the table, but there was a bit of speculation today about, and I don't think it's based in anything. But let's have a listen to what they have to say.
Can you take us behind, perhaps, in your view, some of their thinking on a left field long-term option?
We've all heard about the Nick Dacos and the superstar approach. We'll take you to the other end of the spectrum here. A 35-year-old at the start of 2028 will be Tom Stewart. He's a 5-time All-Australian. Tasmania has identified a player in the mould of Tom Stewart to come in and be the cultural setter, Roo, to come in and set the scene. They acknowledge behind the scenes that there are going to be players who arrive at their footy club who won't be there for their first flag push. He's a 5-time All-Australian. He debuted as a 24-year-old, which means he's missed out on 5 or 6 years of earning at the top level. Could he go down to Tasmania with a bigger salary cap, go in and cash in? And it takes me back to what the Giants were doing at the start of their tenure. Have a look at some of these names that GWS brought in for their first year. James McDonald at the age of 35, Dean Brogan 33, Chad Corns and Luke Power at 32. The Devils are going to want players in the mould of Tom Stewart to come in and set the tone early for their young group.
Yeah, so...
All right, that's... Oh, Actually, let's go back. Actually, we'll catch Nick Riewold's point on the end.
Set the tone early for their young group.
Yeah,
it links in nicely.
They're culture setters. Those guys, all animals in the way they prepared and trained. So I like it as an approach. So we saw 2 expansion sides. Didn't we go about it in different ways? So is it fair to say that the Tassie team have looked at the Giants model, the way they went about it, and their ability to become relevant on the field quicker?
It feels more Giants than Suns, and we'll hear from Brendan Gale shortly. The other thing on Tom Stewart is he's contracted until 2027. Many thought he might be the next captain. Dangerfield's been in that position for the last couple of years. Could he go down there and be a leadership driver? Watch this space.
All right, that is the thoughts of Mitch Cleary, Nick Riewoldt, Craig Hutchison on this particular story. And look, when I say story, it's not really a story, right? Like, we don't have anything of substance yet. There's nothing here. There's no smoke. Mitch Cleary is just flagging it. But let's engage in the conversation a little bit here. And what do we got going on? I think that when Hutchie was born, the nurse threw the wrong bit away. Thanks, Gary. There we go. So yeah, Python does expand on that. So the Fire Stick itself is 100, so all you're doing is getting someone to code it up, which I know a few people that do that. That's awesome. I like it. To Jackie's point, and something I'd echo, if you're Tassie, Tom Stewart is the perfect type of person to go after. He is, as Nick Riewoldt talks about in that clip, he is a culture driver. He would be huge for the Tasmanian team, or any team really, but for a young Tasmanian team, it seems like they're going down a similar path to the GWS as they flag in there. That they're going to, potentially, but also with hints of Gold Coast. Like, they're clearly trying to chase Nick Dacos. They can't have him because he's going to Geelong. But they're trying to chase the big primo fish. But then on the side, they're going to try and get some older stars who are earning less towards the back end of their careers, aren't going to command massive dollar sums, but will complement Nick Dacos well, drive a culture within the club, help get the young blokes going in the way they need to do, pick up the slack for Nick Dacos leadership-wise when he needs it. And so it would make a lot of sense. Gary talks about Jake Kolodjasny being, like, he was one that I cited when I put together a video the other day about potential candidates from Geelong that could go off to Tasmania. Colos, he's a local. So obviously that's going to be an option I think would be a great leader as well. Not saying we want any of these guys to go, of course. We want them to remain Cats for life. But it makes sense. There's logic to it. It's not a ridiculous line of thinking. So, but I just don't see, now to actually hone in on the realities of the whole thing, I don't see Tom Stewart going anywhere, right? Tom Stewart he's a leader. I think, like, Danger's probably going to retire at the end of this year, most likely. And I think he's the obvious next leader at the Cats. So I don't really see it happening, but there's no reason necessarily why it wouldn't either. Dacos is coming to the Cats, not Tassie. There we go, Gary. You've embraced the line of thinking now. I like it. Now you're really getting in on the act. We're just trying to bait those Collingwood supporters. And also, thank you to, I don't know, what is it? Probably it's definitely north of 2,000. The thousands, plural, who've got tuned in and check out that Nick Dacos video. It was a good bit of fun. We've upset a few Collingwood supporters. That's good. 2,086. So thank you to everyone who's gone and checked out that video. No, 2,094. Thank you to everyone who's gone and checked out that video. Very much appreciated. It was a good bit of fun. And thank you to the chat, in particular, a few of you who are watching right now, who just nudged me over the line to record that shit stirry video. All right. We are going to get into our game of the show in a moment, and then we are going to get into your questions, your answers. Like I said, it's going to be a shorter show tonight. There's not that much for us to discuss. But before we do, we have one more topic of conversation that I want to get into here. And Ben had it in the Discord today, and I'm going to get the Discord projected in a moment. So give me 1 second as I find the message, because there's been a few messages pop up. Where did he put it? There we go. Jake, actually, sorry, I walked that back. Jake was the one responsible for it. He brought it up in the Discord earlier tonight. So let me frame this just right so it's nice and visible. There we go. In the Discord tonight, Jake asked the question, your confidence score from 1 through to 10 on each of the following Cats being in the hoops in 2027. And he cited George Stevens, Jai Clark, Mitch Nevitt, and Ollie Wiltshire. Now, we can see that Jackie's responded here, and we'll talk about Jackie's a little bit, because a lot of my thoughts kind of aren't too different to that. George Stevens is 7 to 8. Got Jai Clark somewhere between a 9 and 10. Mitch Nevitt between 0 and 1. And Ollie Wiltshire 5 through 6. And I think that rookie list disclosure is obviously an important one, because that's what happened to George Stevens between 2025 and 2026. So let's pick through this a little bit here. When it comes to George Stevens, and please chat, share your thoughts and ideas, either in the Discord here where it'll be pinned, or in the comment section. And I'll just keep an eye on that at the same time. For my mind, George Stevens, 7 to 8. I'd probably err closer on the 8 side of that, but I think 7 to 8 is a good range to lean on Jackie's here. Jai Clark, I think the way he's developing and how he started the season, he's almost at a 10 now. I think he is a sure thing. Mitch Nevitt, I'm not quite 0 to 1, but I'm probably in that 2 to 3 range. They want to give him opportunities, which says a bit, right? But they continue to not use him in a way that I think is good or effective for him as a player. But yeah, I don't know. When he gets his opportunities, like, regardless of what the opportunity is, he's not really grabbing the bull by the horns. He's not demanding the spot, which makes it hard for me to feel confident about him staying. I probably got him at a 3. Ollie Wiltshire, I think, is probably at a 3 to 4. The queue there in front of him is getting bigger and bigger. So we've got Ben's calling me a coach hater. Yeah, I'm the one that hates Chris Scott. But anyway, we'll leave that alone. Yeah, I've got Mitch Edwards at a 2 to 3. I've got Ollie Wiltshire probably a 3 to 4. I think in the case of Ollie, like he's really developing as a small forward, but I'm thinking about that queue that's in front of him. So we've got Gryan, Tyson Stengel, Brad Close, regardless of the fact that I think Brad Close should be in the seconds right now. Cop that, Ben. Who am I not thinking of? Ollie Henry, Jay Polkinghorn. I know some of these guys aren't smalls, but they're players that won't be playing in the key position role. There's 5 already. Jack Bowes can spend a bunch of time up there. I would rather see him spend more time up there. I think Wiltshire, like I've got 3 to 4 because I think like Jackie, he's probably going to be that player that slips onto the rookie list. But I could also see a scenario where we go down that path and then some other good option emerges and suddenly, like our plan is to put him on a rookie list and all of a sudden something too good to be true is there in front of us. Someone who's a major slider in the draft or something like that is available and we grab him. And suddenly Ollie's out of a spot. Jackie says, and Benny's also just dropped a Jack Bose and a Brad Close. Jackie says, I love Brad Close, but Ollie needs to aim to kick him out of the team. Similar players. I mean, yeah, I think the problem is that there's still players that would be ahead of Brad Close who aren't in the team right now. So it's a real tricky one. Jesse Mellor, as Jackie rightly says, is in that list as well. Shadu says, I don't know if I'm still just coping, but I feel Ollie Henry's ceiling is higher. Ollie Henry's ceiling is much higher. No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And Chris Scott has made it clear, I think, that while Ollie's kind of battling a bit at the moment, his belief in Ollie is pretty strong. And this is Ollie Henry, to be clear. So I think he's going to continue to get those opportunities. I think Chris Scott is buying stonks in Ollie Henry, and it's only a matter of time before he pays it off. They are different players, as Jackie says, but they do sit in the same position on the field. And those spots are limited. So, and when you've got Tyson Stengel, when you've got Gryan Myers, when you've got a Jack Bowes running through there, Jai Clark, who's currently playing as a small forward as well, Clark, I should say. Like it's gonna be hard. Yeah, Jackie, you mentioned Polkinghorn, and I didn't even mention Jack Martin in there too. So like there's a lot of competition for these spots. It's gonna be really difficult. Shadu says Ollie cut his emo hair this week, judging by the training pics. Ollie Henry, but Ollie Dempsey's another one to factor in up there too. Redemption arc incoming, and Jackie drops a clacky in there. We love him. We love Jai Clark. He's coming along nicely. He also no longer looks like Hunter Holmes. Good. We need a bit of separation and difference here. So please, what I'd love for people to do, if you haven't shared some specific numbers, drop a comment here in the chat. George Stevens, Jai Clark, Mitch Nevitt, Ollie Henry. Give me a score between 0 and 10. 0, they're gone. 10, they're guaranteed to stay. What's the likelihood in your mind that these players remain on the list at the end of the year? All right, while you're doing that, so please do so. I can see Python responding with a number. There you go. So Nevitt1 says Shadu. Keep dropping those thoughts in there. While you're doing so, it's time for our game of the show. So bear with me for a second here as we load it all up. This game came out in 2022 and was a little bit divisive. It didn't quite stick the landing in a way that people had hoped, given that the developer is responsible for the Fallout and Elder Scrolls franchises. That game is Starfield from Bethesda Game Studios, from Todd Howard, the legendary Todd Howard. And the game has been announced for PlayStation this week. It's coming out in just 2 weeks from now. 2.5 weeks, from now for PlayStation. But also alongside is a brand new DLC expansion that's going to come to Xbox and PC owners who already have had access to the game for a couple of years now. So let's take a look at what is coming to Starfield.
Among the stars, humanity can seem insignificant. Our achievements can be dwarfed by the vastness of space itself. But the galaxy is at our fingertips. We must enjoy the ride.
Attempt combat with us. You will not survive.
Shields up! Take him down!
Ha-ha! This is gonna be fun!
A pilot is only as capable as their starship. A ship only as useful as its crew. Together, you will find your place in the galaxy. But beware, others are claiming theirs.
Humans of the settled systems. You have forgotten who you are. We shall remind you. There is no use resisting. Destroying hostile.
I got the crash drive!
Annihilating. We are the Terran Armada. And none shall stand in our way.
One thing we must always remember: the wonders of this universe have no limits.
Damn it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm muted. I forgot that I muted myself. Thank you. Sorry, that is Starfield. DLC's out April 7th for Xbox and PC alongside the PlayStation launch. If you want to learn a bit more, the Player 2 website right here has all the details for you. There's paid expansions, there's free DLC, and of course PlayStation owners will finally get their first crack at it. So please consider checking that one out. Don't give me sound of silence. We're okay now. Sorry. But in the meantime, let's talk about some of these scores that people are giving me. So we've got from Gary. I found Gary's first. So let's take a bit of a look there. Mitch Nevitt, he's got it as a 1. George Stevens, a 5 out of 10 chance of remaining. Jai Clark, a 10 out of 10. I would agree. Ollie Wiltshire, a 5. Who else has tossed some scores in here? Amy says, Jai Clark, a 10 out of 10 chance to stay. Oh, we've tossed in some additional ones there. Henry, that'll be Ollie, an 8. I don't see him. Well, I don't see him going anyway. George Stevens, a 5. And Mitch Nevitt, a 2. Shadu says, Nevitt 1, Clack 10, George Stevens 5. And I don't know if I missed one for Wiltshire from you, Shadu. Maybe it's further down in the chat. What else have we got? Oh, sorry, maybe I said Ollie Henry at one point. No, we were linking to what went on in the Discord there, which was related to Ollie Wiltshire, George Stevens, Jai Clark, Mitch Nevitt. Wiltshire 4, says Shadu. So yeah, thank you everyone in the chat for pointing out that I was muted for a bit there. I forgot that I did it as I started hitting play on the trailer. Amy says Wiltshire would be a 5. It seems like for the most part we're pretty, like collectively we're pretty united that, you know, I'm getting a 1. Mate, Ben, you can't kick me off the Paul James show. I am the Paul James. The Paul James to the Paul James show. Anyway, moving away from the Discord, moving away from Starfield, bring up the scores, score check. Swans 6-2-38, Hawks 5-4-34. What are we, halfway through the second? So, Ben, all that high scoring you were talking about, where'd it go? What happened? Seems to have dried up. Talking a big game, and for the last, well, since the 23rd minute mark, we haven't had a goal. Ben, what are you talking about, mate? Have the Hawks not kicked a goal? Neither have the Swans. Ben, you don't know what you're talking about, mate. Jackie says, now let's do Hoops Crew and Chaps. Ben did suggest that I jump in with the Chaps sometime nice and soon. It's something I also am keen to do. Right now, I'm coming off the back of a block. Since about mid-January, I've been on 2 very large game reviews. I am going to bring up Player 2 again just to plug my own handiwork here. I have been on 2 very large game reviews, not Crimson Desert. Turns out it's a flop, by the way. Where did we go? Monster Hunter Stories, my most recent. Also Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined. These were all 60-plus hour games apiece at the same time that I was starting a brand new job, that I was working on the player previews for the Hoops. It was the player previews and then getting into the Paul James show and post-game live for the year. So I have been absolutely knackered for quite some time. So the fact that Geelong had the bye, obviously it sucks as footy fans. For me, purely selfishly, I'm relishing this. I'm enjoying doing the show tonight. We're still somehow going to push close to an hour at this point, despite not really having anything to talk about. Going to do this. I don't have to record a preview. I don't have to do post-game live, despite all the comments I saw in the Discord about getting a post-game live for the VFL tomorrow. Ben, Jake, if you're watching, one of you please do it. That'd be great. I think the community wants it. Give the people what they want. They're not going to get me, though. So I'm just... And all hours turns into midnight. I'm just looking to put the queue in the rack a little bit for a few nights just to recharge, because otherwise I'm a bit worried that very early in the season I'm going to burn out. And like normally I'm good for taking the piss, but I've been kind of running on fumes for a while now. And hopefully it's not been visible, but I kind of in the last 2 days in particular, I crashed. So anyway, let's get all that off screen. Let's bring the scores back. I'll also just quickly remind everyone, please consider donating if you haven't already to my wife's Endometriosis Australia campaign. $450 raised of our $1,000 goal so far. So we're a little bit behind the pace if we want to get it by the end of the month, as is the goal. But so please consider donating if you haven't already. If you have already, consider again. But I don't want to repeatedly put the hand out. It's going to a great cause. And again, currently the research says 1 in 7 women have it. It will be worse than 1 in 7. There is very likely, if you don't know it already, there is very likely and a very important woman in your life that has endometriosis, that is suffering from endometriosis, and could do with the support, could do with the additional research going into it. Anything you can do would be huge. So please Please, please, please donate. Get out of here, bobbleheads. Let's keep the scores on the screen here as we continue to talk. Ben, still no more goals. No more goals. What are we doing here, Ben? My back-end stuff here is still showing Starfield on the screen. But anyway. So, questions and answers. Q&A. We've gone 45 minutes so far. It's a point fest, says Python. We've gone 45 minutes. I don't really want to keep it too much longer. I'm thankful that we got to start the show at a bit of an earlier time tonight just so that I can get in and put the feet up and unwind a little bit. Today was a particularly challenging day at work. So I'm pretty keen to get inside and just unravel for a bit. Watch the footy. I should have grabbed a few beers tonight. That would have really perked me up. Shadu says, want to talk about the Jezza article in the Discord if you want something to waffle about. Waffle? Sure. Let's waffle about Jezza. I do recall the article you're talking about. It was about him not doing any contact training. So come on Discord, open up. This might be some sort of fate here. The article's not opening. Jeremy Cameron, broken arm, news. It's from the Addy. Waffles, pancakes, and crepes. I do like the sound of that. I know I saw it. Was it that Geelong Addy article? Oh, I think it was, and it got tossed through archive.md. Let's do that. Anchovy.md. Boom. There we go. So yeah, here's a little bit of detail as all the images gradually load because we've done a dodgy here to access the Geelong Addy. Let's find the comments. The quad injury was just in match play. It was late in match play. It's just one of those things. Cameron told this masthead, so the Geelong Addy. / Code Sports. Yeah, I think there was definitely a Code Sports. I didn't do any contact pretty much the entire pre-season, and the one contact session I did, I felt really good, but did the quad. I've done 2 contact sessions since the grand final, basically, so it's one of those things. I've never been worried about injuries and that sort of thing. If I did 0 contact at all, I'd still be confident the arm is going to be okay. One of the off those 2 contact sessions, the 33-year-old was at his freewheeling best with 23 disposals, 11 score involvements, 10 marks, and 3 goals for as the Cats came from the clouds to defeat Fremantle. Despite wearing a brace over his right arm, he showed no effects of his grand final fracture that he concedes may impact him forever. It's sore, pretty sore anyway, but that's just something I'm probably going to have to live with forever, Cameron said. It's not actually the bone, it's all the tendons and everything else that's going on in there. But that's all part of it. Still love it, and obviously love being out there again with the boys. When you're older, it doesn't heal as quick, so the big plate goes in, heaps of screws, and it stays in there forever, as far as I know. It's just about getting the arm moving again and getting all the muscles and tendons build that back up, and then be confident enough to go out there and get hit and tackle and whatnot, get up off the ground. It's pretty awful. Like, really, when you're like, the idea of having to endure this, some level of pain for what might be the entire remainder of his life, it's huge. And yet he's just like, we'll get up, we'll go around again. Why not? So he's a machine, Jezza, old chicken legs. And yeah, Jackie says, Iki, I wonder if he experienced nerve damage. It certainly seems to suggest, building the muscles and tendons back up, there might be a bit of nerve damage in there as well. He did concede he had mixed level of enthusiasm for footy last season. Yeah, we spoke about on the show the idea of, him potentially pulling up stumps at the end of the year versus he also floated the idea of, I could still be going 5 years from now, at which point I perked up about the idea of someone kicking 1,000 goals again, because if there's anyone in the competition right now that can do it, it's Jeremy Cameron. But, we're going to need him to be in good health. We're going to need him to probably play at least 4, but likely 5 years as well. Because, let's double check this. Jeremy Cameron goal tally. It's going to probably take me to AFL tables. Career goals, he's on 739. So that's, 260 off. Across 4 seasons, we're talking about 65 goals a season. Just short of 65 goals a season. To hit that in 4 years. It's a lot. 80 odd, 80, 87, 86 to do it in 3 years. Per year, keep in mind that is. 5 years becomes a bit more accessible. We're talking about less than 50 a year. But 60 a year for 4 years with a bloke like Jeremy Cameron, it's not beyond him. I think that's still quite manageable. Maybe he does 60 to 70 a year, maybe even 70 to 80 a year for 2 years, and then the load becomes a bit smaller for those last 2. I think this is a guy who can do it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Can Jeremy Cameron get to 1,000 before his career is done? And of course, it's just good to see him back. Score check. Oh, get out of here, Hawthorn. But that said, we finally got a goal. Ben finally got his goal. What did we get? 11 in the first quarter and just 1 in the second so far, Ben? What was your comment before? Let me scroll back and find that. Something about lots of goals, specifically. 69 points. The comment was another 50-point quarter, but Paul's not convinced that the game has changed. Looks pretty the same to me. Looks pretty much as we all recall it right now. Freo also kicked lots of goals in the first quarter. We also had lots of goals in that first quarter, and then they went pretty quiet after that. Anyway. Any final questions, comments, concerns, thoughts or ideas? I'd be keen to discuss them with you, so please share those thoughts and ideas in the chat. We'll discuss them before we wrap things up. And I'm going to go and get an early night. Let's actually, while we're at it, we'll just quickly talk about next week. So next week, next Thursday's game, Ben will be doing. So I've got to talk to Ben and work out scheduling for the Paul James show, because obviously the Cats are playing on the Thursday. That's normally our Paul James show night. Normally I'm unable to do the Wednesday because of basketball. My basketball season ended last night, unfortunately with a loss. So my Wednesday is available. I'm thinking maybe the Paul James show happens on Wednesday night. We'll have the teams. We can kind of go through our normal sort of routine there on the Wednesday night. But then on the Thursday night, I've got a work thing that's going to keep me at work until about 8:30 at night, plus the drive home. So I probably won't get home till 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to miss the majority of the game. But I've got to work the next morning and drive 4 hours up to Matung on Friday after I finish work. So I'm kind of looking to get an early night. Ben is going to the Cats and Crows game, but is already planning to take the reins for post-game live next Thursday night. So my hope is coordinating with Ben that we can get an episode. And Ben, if you're still there, I'm putting this to you for the first time. Wednesday night, Paul James show. Thursday night, you do post-game live after the match. That's the hope. But I am working this out with all of you right now. For every like, we get a baby smiles for the first time. Gary says back again just in time to say goodnight. Yeah, you'll be passing. Oh, Mark says you'll be passing my house on the way to Matung. Where are you based out of, Mark? Given I am based in the Macedon Ranges, I'll be kind of scooting, kind of city linking it all the way through to the eastern suburbs, and then of course it's just rolling down the coast, like getting to the coast and rolling down as much as possible. Meetung, Jackie says. I don't know the pronunciation. Oh, you're in Stratford, okay. I should know where Stratford is. Stratford. I'm not going to project it on a map, don't worry, mate. Stratford. Oh, yeah, all right. Right in the ballpark. Not that far away at all. I had a few adventures in like my younger years down to Lakes Entrance. I had grandparents that lived up there, so they had a place right on the water at Lakes Entrance. But then we'd do little day trips, or not even day trips, sorry, but little weekend trips, couple day things to Bruthen, to Tambo Crossing for fishing, which was really cool. Metung is not somewhere I've actually, or Metung is not actually somewhere that I've been before, but I'm keen to head up that way again. It's been what am I now? 37. It's been 20 years. Probably just a bit over 20 years since I've been up to that part of the state. So I'm really looking forward to getting back over there and seeing how things have changed. What my memory was of the Lakes Entrance and that sort of area. I'm really, really keen to get over there. So I'll make sure I honk the horn as I go past Stratford, mate. Am I holidaying? Yeah, so I think I mentioned... Oh, good, Sydney got a goal. I mentioned... Oh, so Gary says he spent 10 years in sale with the RAAF. That's awesome. Yeah, a couple weekends ago, I was over in Echuca for the weekend. We got a spot right on the Murray. My wife, through her photography, has managed to land a few accommodation options. There's a platform there where you basically got a whole bunch of Airbnbs and people who are basically just providing accommodation who are looking for updated photos for their listings. And so she basically has built like a wish list of places she would like to go, or parts of the state that she would like to go. And basically, like, that list somehow goes into a blender and all these different accommodation options. They're like, oh, yeah, we'd love to have you over. And they've been like, so we got hosted in Echuca, had this incredible spot that looked out over the Murray for a couple nights. And that'll be the same. That'll be the same with Metung. So, or Metung, whatever it is. Oh, Mark says your son, family, and grandsons are in Moama. Oh, it's all spitting distance. But yeah, Jackie, you're right. It is pretty cool. It's a nice little opportunity. And like, so we were looking to do, so as I think we discussed on some of the live shows, because I've moved from public education to private, the public sector paid out all my long service leave. Maybe I should have stuck around for one more year so that if the teachers finally win the union action, I would have gotten paid out according to the rate that it will soon be. I might have just missed out on another $10,000 with the amount of long service leave I would have accrued. But anyway, that is what it is. We've got to wait and see what happens. 18% is bullshit and it can go in the bin. Thanks, Labor government. Just a little clip for the government there. Fuck them. Leaving that, I got a nice healthy long service leave payout that was basically going to go towards a flight to Europe at the end of the year. We're gonna do France, we're gonna do London. We're gonna do Paris, we're gonna do London. We're probably gonna and then venture across Ireland and Scotland a little bit. The plan was, and I looked at flights. I'd been looking at flights for a little while, but I looked at flights earlier in the day before Trump started firing missiles around. Just earlier that exact day. A return trip for my wife, my kids, myself was $9,000 return with a stopover in Qatar, like a 3-hour stopover in Qatar. That exploded, pun intended, I suppose. That shot out to, oh geez, there's just no good play on words at all, is there? That price ballooned out by another $2,000 the day after Trump had started firing shots. So we've kind of sat back and gone, maybe Europe won't happen this year for our safety, but also for the financial costs. So the fact that my wife's been able to land some of these accommodation options has been awesome, because we basically get some free accommodation, some mini holidays. We can save that money, bank it, put it towards a larger holiday next year, get some renos, all those sorts of things. Jackie says, ask Gary, he may be able to fly you there. Oh, with your RAAF history. You're going to be able to get, Gary, you able to get your hands on a plane again and load up 2 adults and two kids, 7 and under, on a flight all the way over to London? Any chance you can make it happen for me? But Gary says, yes, at one time I was in charge of the ground crew of the roulettes on display in Queensland. That's awesome. He says no. Instantly shot down. Appreciate the honesty, Gary. We were flying Maxies back then, but we originally flew Vampires. He may even have machine guns. Maybe and my kids can grab the machine guns, and as we're flying past, people go, and they can make the silly sound effects and have a lot of fun with it. It'd be great. They'll have a great time. All right. I'm going to, one final time before we wrap things up for the night. It's half time in the footy. We're definitely not going to be sitting around for any more of it. I'm going to quickly bring back the endometriosis campaign one final time again, and I'll drop the link. I'll beat you to it, Shadoo, this time. The link is there in the chat. Please, if you've got the ability to donate to the cause, all of it goes to research and supporting women with endometriosis. 1 in 7. Indiana Jones. Supporting women with endometriosis. My wife is one of those 1 in 7. She's got stage 4. That's a significant stage. And so she's really fighting through a lot of her daily health challenges to cover 100 kilometers in the month. Anything that you are able to provide to support that would be massive. And thank you to everyone. This is not a Hoops Crew initiative. I'm using our platform here to promote something that's far bigger than any game of football. So please consider popping some money in there. Not a cent goes to Hoops Crew. Not a cent goes to my wife or I. It all goes to charity. So please throw a few bucks there if you can. All right. I might even just refresh it and see if anything's happened. Not yet. That's all right. All right. That's where we'll wrap things up for the night. Rob, is this the first time I'm seeing you in the chat right as we're about to finish up? He says, Hawks I tipped, but damn, I want them to lose. I tipped the Swans. I know Errol and Heaney are big losses, but I'm confident enough that they can get the job done. I think the Hawks' form is overrated off the back of last week. Sorry to have you tune in right at the end of the show, Rob, as I'm starting to wrap things up. That's a bloody shame. We'll have to make sure we stick around longer for you next time. But we'll have more to discuss, because next Paul James show will be a proper preview episode leading up to the Crows and the Cats. And my hope is, if Ben has been paying attention, that we'll do it on Wednesday night. But that's where we'll wrap things up. Thank you all for having checked out this episode. Join me in the chat live and discussed all things Geelong Cats. It's been a great time, and I'm looking forward to doing it again nice and soon. Please make sure, we've got a schedule coming up. Jake recorded the 2s today. Go check out the 2s. It's on our Patreon. Obviously, our schedule is a little bit lighter, though I do have planned videos. This was my to-do list. How to use danger. Ignore that one. That was some notes from when we were doing The Last of Us. And we will still be doing The Last of Us. Expect a game night this weekend. Nick Dacos to Geelong. Tick. Nuff. Done. How we need to use Paddy Dangerfield and Brad Close needing to go to the 2s. That makes up a couple of topics of conversation that I plan to record videos about this weekend. Maybe tomorrow. And there's going to be plenty there for discussion. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Ben will be going ballistic in the chat, in the comment section. The second my Brad Close video goes up. Jackie's already upset with me. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, stay tuned for those videos. They'll be rolling out. Monday, the chaps return with their usual episode. Of course, that will be a different one as well with no game to discuss. Tuesday, we'll have enough of the week. Wednesday, show us your tips, and what I'm hoping is the Paul James show live on the Wednesday night. Thursday is post-game live. Danders now drops in the end saying, why aren't we talking about Jack Henry yet? I don't think we've spoken about Jack all night. And I guess we're not, because that's where we're going to wrap the show up. Thank you all for watching. Remain Geelong strong, and I'll see you later.